All right, I'm getting pretty good at this. Hello, everybody. Well, wait. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Level Up Lando, the show that takes you inside the struggles, the trials, the tribulations, and the occasional success. That is the everyday challenge of my life as I pursue my never ending effort of trying to level up. I am your host, Landon Like a Plane, also known as the richest man in Aspen. And I'm coming to you from Truscott Studios, also known as my bedroom, right here in lovely Aspen, Colorado. Today is Sunday, March 23rd, 2025 at 9:46 a.m. And I got to tell you guys, I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually doing the things that I need to do to make my dreams come true. And it is hard. It is hard. I have been going through it. I've been struggling and just trying to manage getting through the struggle. And like I'm telling you, it is not easy. It has been emotionally stressful and mentally stressful. Not so much physically. I'm not so worried about what's happening physically as I am mentally. Although physically things are going pretty well. So let's just dive right into it. First off, pretty broke, as is the typical situation. I've been watching a lot of Alex Hermosi, and I really like listening to that guy because I feel like he came from where I'm coming from. A lot of these entrepreneurial business type guru advice people often either got a loan or figured out a way to get capital and didn't have to use their own money and didn't have to really work to get to the point where they got their foundation. They were smarter than I am, and so they figured out how to do it better than I did. Whereas Alex is much more. He had to sleep on the floor of his gym and try to figure out how to make rent every month. And if anybody can relate to that, it's me. So I really appreciate what he's putting out. And basically, he's saying something to the effect of, when you have nothing, you also have nothing to lose, which is what makes you dangerous and what makes you, a weapon on the chessboard is I don't have anything to lose. And so I am dangerous in that way. It's because I got nothing to lose here. If it doesn't work out, I'm right back to where I was, which is struggling to pay rent. So it's like I was struggling to pay rent before I started working for myself, and I'm struggling to pay rent after working for myself. But at least when I go to work, I'm making myself rich instead of somebody else. So, and that feels really good. It feels really good to be focused and working on what I want to be working on and what I'm up to. And so, in that small light, I am doing my best. I'm really trying to make this a profitable business and make it a career and a way of life so that I can both live my life, which I love to do, but then also earn money at the same time. And not a little bit of money, a lot of money. I want to be particularly wealthy, and I'm willing to put in the work to get there. And this is me documenting that process. So here we are on Sunday, March 23rd, and let's just see, where can I catch you up from? A week ago, I was worried about how I'm going to pay the rent, and I've been freaking out about money in general. Barely have enough money to buy food. Often I don't have enough money to buy food, and I kind of go hungry to a certain extent. I mean, I've got food in my cupboards, but it's all like that weird random food that you'd never eat, and that's why it's in your cupboard. It's a can of corn and lentils, So, but I've been breaking into it because I can't afford to buy food. So, things financially are particularly difficult. But like I'm telling you, that's no different than when I was working for somebody else. So, with nothing to lose, all I do is end up hungry, and that's not the worst thing in the world, especially if being uncomfortable and being hungry is what drives you to get off your ass and go make a sale and get some money so you can eat. So there's value in the discomfort. And that is something I was trying to tell my parents because I was complaining to them. I wasn't complaining, I was just sharing with them that I don't have enough money for food, and that it's kind of hard because that's where I really start to get depressed. I really start to get sad when my stomach is grumbling and I open my refrigerator and it's empty. And then I have to deal with the confronting reality that I'm too broke to afford food. And that then makes me sad because I'm hungry and I want to eat and I don't have enough money to buy food. So my dad ended up gifting me $500 kind of out of nowhere, which I didn't ask for and wasn't expecting. And to a certain degree, I was very grateful and relieved that he did that. But on the other side of that, he sort of undermined what I do to make the magic happen, which is kind of put my back to the wall and either die or figure it out. And I haven't died yet. So it seems like that is a good strategy. If you put yourself in a situation where you have two options, and one of them is to die, and the other one is to survive and to figure it out. Often, so far, I'm 100%. I haven't died. I figure it out. And I don't know what that looks like until I'm put into that position. I don't know how I'm going to come up with the answer. So I was kind of right there. I was right in this situation where I'm running out of money. I need to pay my rent. I need to buy food. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And then my dad gifts me $500, which, again, I didn't ask for, didn't necessarily even want. But maybe that was the magic, because then I was able to buy food. I was able to cover my rent for March. Here we are on March 23rd, getting close to April, and I needed to cover rent for April. So I went ahead and sold some of my stock positions and got rid of some of my GameStop stock, which I had bought in at a pretty good cost basis and sold it at 100% gain. So I'm a little disappointed I had to do that, because I really do think that it's going to be my retirement and it's a really solid investment. But you got to do what you got to do. And so I had to kind of sell into my retirement and sell off some of that money in order to keep the business going. And so I went ahead and did that. And now I've got $1,300 sitting in a bank account, which is sort of waiting for me to pay rent come April. But I still got 8 days. So I've been busting my ass trying to figure out maybe I can come up with rent in the next 8 days, because that way I don't have to spend that money. So that's going pretty good. In other news, sort of in a different angle here, I got my taxes filed for my business, and it's a month ahead of time. And I've been using Quicken to sort of track my accounting, but when I got on the phone with my accountant, he said it's not really a good software to use for tax purposes, and that actually I'm not as I don't know, detailed and organized with my finances as I need to be, because it's not the right software. And then I actually really need to get QuickBooks or a different software that will be more of a bookkeeper and allow me to properly file my taxes, because this was quite the effort. I didn't realize when I included my revenue total and I gave it to him that I had included revenue from 2025. And so I made like 22 grand, and he was only reporting like 20. And I was like, why don't you have these numbers? So I sent him the invoices that I had and like the income. And he's like, there's a lot of income here that you didn't give me. And he's like, why isn't this included in the information that you gave to me? So as we're looking at it, we kind of discovered that I had included quite a few different invoices from 2025, because I had locked in the deal in 2024, but I didn't get paid till 2025. And for whatever reason, I included that in my total, and it threw everything off. So once we figured that out, we were able to file the right numbers, which was 16,500, which was awesome to be able to earn, and, you know, right out of the gate with my business, find some success. So $16,500 in revenue. I got my taxes filed. I've got like $1,900 coming back to me in taxes, which is really going to help the whole situation. I'm in debt over my head. I've got bills to pay. I've got parking tickets and all kinds of fines. And when the money comes in, it's already spent, is basically the situation. So if I've got $1,900 coming to me from taxes, that's gone. I really don't have that. Whether it's to rent or to bills or to fines or whatever the financial burden is, it just sucks up the money. So but that then helps me get a little bit closer to even, paying off debt, paying off these fines. helps me to get a little bit closer to even. And so while it is intimidating and while it is daunting and while it sucks to have money come in and then just it's gone, what are you going to do? That's just the nature of my reality. And I'll tell you what you're going to do. I'll tell you what I do anyway is you keep a positive attitude. You understand that life is unfolding perfectly and that the universe is conspiring in your favor, and that any of the difficulty and the challenges that you're facing are designed to help you be better. And from that place, why wouldn't you welcome those things? Why wouldn't you want those things? And the truth is, I'm getting better. So, from that point of view, the struggle continues, but I believe that everything's happening for me and not to me. And with that as my attitude and that as my mental state of being, I go out into the world and see what happens. And the truth is, I went out into the world yesterday. I went skiing yesterday on a Saturday, and I rode the gondola. And I ended up meeting this guy. His name's Mike Miracle. And he is involved with sustainability in Aspen, and he works for Skico. And in my process of talking to him, I discovered that we are doing very similar things on different scales. He's like on a bird's eye view scale, a really high scale where he's trying to impact the whole community in general. And I'm down on the street, like on the ground level, trying to make my small difference, impacting the community in the small way that I can, whether it's through my involvement with Toastmasters or my involvement with the Eagles Club. I am a member of this community, and I consider myself to be a leader in this community, believe it or not. I might not be a great leader, but I'm working on that. That's the part that I'm trying to get better at, is developing myself into somebody who is not just a natural leader, but a really talented leader who leads efficiently and helps people get where they're trying to go. So in that way, I do have my own little vision of my contribution here to the community and to the town, and I'm always looking for more opportunities to do that. So when I met this guy, I was like, we should network because you're kind of doing it at this high level and I'm down on the streets. And if we kind of bring our resources together, I might really be able to help you here. So I got his number and I am looking forward to networking with him. And that was a big win yesterday. And so there's a little level up. I like to pat myself on the back when I do something good, because my theory and my philosophy is that if you don't pat yourself on the back, nobody else is going to do it. So, yay, landed. Good job for networking. I also get a little pat on the back for getting my taxes done. Yay, landed. Good job. And so, got my taxes done, and I'm ready to now go ahead and talk to the housing authority here and make sure that all of my like tracking of my work and my numbers and everything that they need to approve that I'm a working employee and of good standing. I want to get all that done. So it's a non-issue to make sure that everything I'm doing from a tracking perspective and an organizational perspective is what they want and what they need to make their jobs easy. Because that's one thing I've learned living in the employee housing here in Aspen, which is pretty tricky. And a lot of people lose their housing kind of out of nowhere because they didn't properly track their hours and or their income, and they can't prove accurately that they're working full time in the town. And in that way, that's a requirement. You have to be working full time to maintain employee housing. So I don't want to have that happen. I don't want to deal with that. And one of the things I've learned in my several years of attempting to qualify is just make their job easy. Whatever it is they need, whatever it is they want, just give it all to them up front. Easy to see, easy to pull out the information from the packet of information that you need. And that helps you get the rubber stamp so that they can just approve you. And I don't know exactly what they need. So I'm going to go in there and have a conversation with them. Hopefully, maybe this upcoming week. I got to wait for my taxes to kind of come through. And then I'll have like the physical 1040 or whatever it is. And that way I can bring it in there and we can go line by line and make sure that I'm good to go. So that's exciting for me because that's another year of housing. That's another year living in this incredible apartment that I get to call home. And another year living in this incredible town that I get to call home, Aspen, which this is not an easy place to call home. You're having to scratch and claw and fight for it until you get established. And then it's not as easy. I mean, then it's not as difficult. And there's a lot of money in this town. So once you get established and once you have your feet on the ground and you have a foundation and you're not worried about your housing or losing your housing, you can build a business. You can build a business and really contribute and be a part of this community where a lot of other people have done something similar. And like I said, there's a lot of money flying around in this town. And if you can just get a small piece of it, it's quite a bit of money. So that's what I'm up to. That's my vision. And as we move forward, it feels like I'm making it happen. I got to tell you guys, there's a lot of turmoil and heartache and hard times. And I am going through all of it. And I'm trying my best to document that so that as you watch the journey, you can kind of see how mentally I deal with it. And to that vein, particularly this weekend, this week, I'm doing good. Somehow I've broken through one of the levels and kind of risen up, leveled up, and now I'm in a position where I'm not struggling so badly for money. I sold some of my stock. I have rent for April. That buys me another 30 days of trying to figure this out. I just met a guy in the gondola. I got my taxes done. So the ball is moving forward, even if it's slowly. And even if sometimes, a lot of times, I feel like I'm not doing enough work and it scares me. It makes me feel doubtful that I'm not doing what I need to do. And then every once in a great while, I'll get a little breakthrough, and you can kind of see all of these small actions that have accumulated to give you that breakthrough. And then you kind of get reassured, oh, yeah, like all these little things that I'm doing that I don't feel like count or aren't moving the needle enough are slowly moving the needle so that finally it moves and you get a breakthrough. So I share that with you with the idea that if you're in a similar situation, if you're working to improve your life, if you're struggling, if you're going through a hard time, like I am, that you can be kind to yourself and love yourself and know that even when you're doing little things that feel inconsequential, that they're not, even though it feels that way. And even though there's no real feedback that comes to you to let you know one way or the other if you're doing a good job or if you need to do a better job. And you don't get that. You don't get any of that from these little small incremental improvements or accomplishments. And so you wonder, am I doing the right thing? Is it going the direction I want it to go? Do I need to work harder? And a lot of the time I feel that I do. A lot of the time I feel like I'm not doing enough and that my actions aren't lining up with what I say I want. And that then leaves me in a place where I feel like I'm out of integrity with myself. Like if I'm saying that I want to be a successful business owner, but then I just sit on my couch all day, well, those two things aren't in alignment. And so I'm really trying hard to do all of the different jobs that you have to do when you're a business owner. And the truth is, I'm not very good at most of them. There's only a few things I'm good at. I'm good at flying the drone. I'm decent at editing. I can edit well enough to complete a job, but I sure would love to hire an editor, somebody who's better than me. You got to go do the sales and the networking. I just got done being the accountant, which I learned I'm terrible at, according to my accountant. And most of these things I'm in way over my head, and I'm learning as I go. And that's what I was explaining to my accountant. My accountant was getting pretty mad at me. He threatened to even just not file my taxes because his CPA certification is on the line. If I'm not giving him accurate numbers and I get audited and they check me and it's wrong, well, he's the one who signed off that it was right. So he and I are kind of like in a heated conversation where I'm like, listen, I am not an accountant. I'm doing everything that I can do to make this right, but you got to give me some grace because I am figuring this out as we go. And while I realize that maybe this time I don't have all my numbers right and that this time I'm not organized in the way that you need me to be, this is my first time filing taxes as a business owner. By the time we get to this point next year, I'll have a bookkeeper, I'll have a spreadsheet. It won't be like this. I'll have figured out, I'll learn from my lessons. It's like, so I appreciate that this is frustrating and a little concerning for you because you're putting your name on my numbers and you don't know what those numbers are, but I'm just learning. I'm just learning that I've done this wrong and that I've used the wrong software and that the way that I've tracked all of my accounting isn't useful for tax purposes. It's useful for like bookkeeping and accounting, but for actual tax purposes, it's not. And from that place, I need to figure out how to be better. And that's what I told him. I was like, listen, let's get this done this year. And then by the time we get to this point in time next year, I'll have figured it out. So that reassured him a little bit. And he ended up filing my taxes for me, which is really nice of him. He's a family friend. And I hate putting him out like that. You know, it's not very brotherly of me or, you know, neighborly of me to put him in sort of a in an uncomfortable position of having to determine if he's going to help his friend or if he's going to risk his career by helping his friend. So, and I feel bad that I did that. And that's what I was trying to tell him. I was like, look, I'm not trying to make you concerned. I'm just trying to get my taxes filed. And at the end of the day, I just don't know what I'm doing. So I appreciate you giving me some grace and being considerate of the fact that this is just my first time doing this and I don't really know what I'm doing. So, in that way, one more little pat on the back. We got our taxes filed. Yes. Okay. Moving on. You know, I got to say that when I look at my life and I consider why I'm where I am and like why I don't have any money, one of the things that is pretty obvious to me, at least at this point in time in my life, is I haven't been able to afford alcohol, which I'm not a huge drinker. I'm definitely a big pothead. I like weed a lot, but I've never really gotten along with alcohol. We've never really been agreeable. And the truth is if I had a little bit more money, even just a little bit more money, I would buy alcohol. I like whiskey. I like bourbon. I like IPAs. And I'm not drinking every night, but I'm drinking enough to spend $30 a week on alcohol, whether that's like a fifth of bourbon and a couple of tall boys or a bottle of bourbon. And I know that I would be buying it and I would be drinking it because it's one of the things that I use to help me manage my stress and manage my emotional turbulence, which is a pretty consistent theme in my life. And so for about, I mean, we're coming up on 5 weeks, maybe getting close to 6 weeks of not really drinking. I drank when I got to go see String Cheese Incident. I bought myself a bottle for that weekend, and that was 2 weeks ago now. And before that, I hadn't drank for 3 weeks. So it was 3 weeks, zero alcohol, 1 weekend of a little bit of alcohol, and now another 2 weeks going into 3 of no alcohol. And so one of the things that I've noticed that's happened as a result of that is I'm getting particularly fit. Another thing that has happened as a result of getting to work for myself and then also not having any money is I'm going to the gym pretty regularly, basically every day. And I've developed this sort of Mike Mentzer style workout where I'm not doing very many exercises. I've picked 4 that I like to do, and I'm doing them to failure. So those 4 exercises are dips, pull-ups or chin-ups. I guess I'm doing chin-ups this way, not this way, this way. And then, so dips, chin-ups, squats, and Romanian deadlifts. And so, you know, right now I started off being able to do like 5 dips or maybe 4, and now I can do 10 or like 8 to 10. And then I started squatting with just the bar, and now I'm squatting 155 10 times. Pull-ups, I could do 3. Now I can do 6 or 7. And Romanian deadlifts, I just did yesterday. I was like, screw it, I'm going to see how heavy I can go because I've been doing 45 on each side, 45 pounds, like 135 or whatever. And it's not very heavy. And so I put 245s on each side, which is 225. And I did it. I could probably add more weight. So that combined with not drinking and having like zero alcohol in my body, I've noticed the inflammation. I've noticed the like puffiness of my skin and my body is just, the inflammation is it's gone. It's down. It's zero. And so you can really see that my body fat percentage is really, I've gotten leaner, and I think part of that is I'm swimming as well. And so no alcohol combined with gym has led to a physical state of being that is pretty close to tip top. I think the most in shape I've ever been in my life was when I surfed from essentially Panama up to Mexico. I've traveled from Colombia up to Cuba, and I just surfed the Pacific coast. Once I came from Colombia back to Panama, I surfed from Panama all the way up to El Salvador and then cut over into Mexico. And I was surfing 2 or 3 times a day and eating fruit, essentially. And so it was like a lot of pineapple and mango and burritos, beans and rice. So I was particularly shredded. I wasn't as jacked as I had always envisioned myself being, but that was probably the most fit I've ever been in my life. It was like 6 or 7 months of just surfing every day and multiple times a day. And surfing is one of those things where even when I'm tired, if the waves are good, I'm gonna try to get out there. Even if I surf for 3 hours in the morning and for 3 hours in the afternoon, if it's still pumping in the evening, I'm going again. So I was particularly jacked. I had a surfer's body. I was really lean, eating fruit. I had really good, strong arms and triceps and shoulders from paddling, and just being lean. One day I looked at myself in the mirror. I was like, "Damn, you look good." And that is sort of what, in my mind, in my lifetime, is the peak of my physical state. And I got to tell you guys, I'm not there. If the peak is here, I'm kind of like here. So there's still a little bit of a gap that I got to close, but I'm getting there. I'm approaching it. So I'm hoping that as things improve and as I get a little bit more money, that I can continue to try to operate from this sort of scarcity mentality where I feel like I don't have any money and I don't buy alcohol. Because that seems to be a winning combination. And so I'm hoping to stay on it. And the truth is that I know that if I did have a little bit of extra money, I would buy alcohol. So kind of glad that I'm broke right now. Kind of glad that I'm going through financial hard times, because that forces me to both figure out how to create more money and get off my ass. And there's something that is very motivating about being uncomfortable, which is, I think, from a spiritual, metaphysical point of view, why I continue to be broke and why I continue to struggle is that for whatever reason, my energy and my growth, as far as the enlightened part of me, hasn't grown enough to realize that I can also do this and be rich. So you can be motivated and have money. You don't need to be uncomfortable and you don't need to be broke to get motivation, to get off your ass, to go make shit happen. However, in my particular situation, apparently I do. So the struggle continues, and I'm trying to use it as best as I can. I'm trying to harness that discomfort and harness that unpleasantness to make me go do stuff, because it doesn't happen unless you go do it. So doing what I can, trying my best to find some success here. So in that way, let's take a quick look here at our little yellow book of accountability. Now, it's been a little while since we sat down and recorded one of these, so let's just take a quick look. We'll flip back a little bit and see what we haven't done, and then we'll hit what we have, because we got to make a new list. So here we go. 3/23. Sunday. What do I got to do today? I need to edit. I need to finish this video for my friend Joe. And then I've got some other footage that I really would like to get edited. And I've got some family video and footage that I'd like to get edited. I did go to so yesterday I had on my list a little shopping list. I got to ski yesterday, which is where I met Mike Miracle. I did go to the gym yesterday. I didn't edit. I got to finish my website, which I started making another website that's mobile so that it's vertical. So when you look at it on your phone, it looks clean as opposed to horizontal when you're looking at on a computer. So I want to finish the website. I need to create a template, like an email template for cold calls, I want to create a list of companies I want to contact or work with. I was just going to look for this little yellow book of accountability before I sat down to do this because I knew I was going to get into it. And I was like, where is this thing? I know I have it. I was looking in my backpack, couldn't find it. And it's in the little front pocket of my backpack. I was like, man, this thing fits so nicely in there. It doesn't fall out. I was like, this is a really well designed backpack. And it's made by Osprey. And I love Osprey. And so I was like, I should make a list of companies that I actually want to work with and then contact them and see if I can get them to send me free stuff. So that's Osprey. What else? Oh, and then I need to make a spreadsheet to track these cold calls so that I know who I'm reaching out to and when and how far we are in the like process of trying to convert them from a potential client into an actual paying client. So if we go back a little bit, so that was yesterday. I got to cross some stuff off the list. I went skiing. Yay, level up Lando. I'm chasing 100 days, you guys. I haven't had a 100-day season ever since I lived in Aspen. I've had 100-day season when I was like 26. It was my first season working as a lift operator in Winter Park. And I had about 70 days working where I got like an hour on my lunch break, which is kind of shitty to just ride for 1 hour. And then I got 40 full, like 8 to 4. I ended up quitting my job as a lifty and getting a job as a bellman at night so that I could ride during the day because I was working as a lift operator watching these people ski all day. And I was like, this sucks. I've got to work while they get to ski. I did this wrong. Like I fucked up. And once that really occurred to me, I ended up getting another job where I was a bellman and I was working at night at 4 p.m. and the mountain shut at 4 p.m. So I could ski into the hotel, which was on the mountain at 3:50, the Zephyr Lodge over in Winter Park. So that's when I learned to work nights, and that's when I learned how to work the resorts properly and not have to work during the day when the mountain's open. So this year I am chasing 100 days. I paid for my own pass this year, which is the first time I've ever paid for my pass in my life. It's $2,200. And so I'm doing my best to get my money's worth and also trying not to get hurt. So it's day 83 was yesterday. Day 84 will be today if I get out there. And 16 days to go with like 25 days left in the season. So I've got about 10 days I can miss and still hit 100 days. So I'm really trying hard to do that just for a personal point of pride and maybe to justify spending the money on the pass a little bit. But we're getting there. So that's a level up. Yeah, we went skiing yesterday. We networked yesterday. And yeah, I got to say, that makes me feel good. Oh, we got to do this Franklin Covey calendar. And I got to make an appointment with the housing authority. So there you go. There's a couple of things. Now I've got a new list. I've crossed some stuff off the other list. I know what I've got to do today. And now we're feeling a little bit more organized just from 5 minutes worth of figuring out what I got done yesterday, what didn't get done, move that over to today, and then add a couple of things. So Little Yellow Book of Accountability. This is handmade in Italy, this notebook by Ciak, C-I-A-K, ciak.fi.it, www.ciak.fi.it. Handmade in Italy. These notebooks are dope. I really recommend them. It's the first time I've ever had one. I did go ahead and get myself a second notebook, but it is not like that one. It's a little bit cheaper, which whatever. Do what you got to do to stay accountable. So that brings us into the next part of the show where I like to read from the Daily Stoic. 366 Meditations on Wisdom, Perseverance, and the Art of Living by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you putting this book together. It is very helpful to me, and I'm reading it to my audience with the hope that it helps them. So it looks like the last time we did this was March 20th. So we'll go ahead and jump up to March 23rd, which is today. And before we get into this, let me let you into my mind. I am feeling good. I am feeling productive. I'm feeling accomplished, and I'm feeling healthy. My apartment is getting close to being as organized as I would hope for it to be, and that has been something that's been kind of plaguing me since I moved in. All this like paperwork and stuff like this that I just need to sort and go through and throw away, and we're getting there. I'm slowly doing it. I'm slowly, like on a daily basis. It doesn't really improve too much, but incrementally, just tiny little. Throw some of these papers away. I don't need this anymore. And slowly, we're consolidating all the paperwork and the random junk that I have, with the idea that I'm trying to get organized. I would really love this apartment to be exactly the way that I want it to be, and it's like 85% there. So there's still quite a bit of room to improve and make it really how I want it. And I'm just working on trying to get that to the point where I don't ever have to do that again. Everything has a home, everything's organized, all the papers are thrown away and cleaned up, and any new papers that are coming in are immediately processed and thrown away or organized and categorized to where they belong. So I'm feeling good about that. I'm feeling good about my ski day total. I'm feeling good about going to the gym. I'm feeling good about not drinking alcohol. I'm not feeling great about my money situation, but I'm feeling better than I was a week ago where I didn't have any. And so, yeah, it just feels like I'm continuing to manifest my reality, and I'm looking into the future and pulling it forward. I'm done looking in the past. I'm looking forward, and I'm calling forward um, my my future reality. So all that is what I'm working on, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. So we will go ahead and see what the Daily Stoic has to say. March 23rd, the straight-jacketed soul. The disease of the rational soul are long-standing and hardened vices, such as greed and ambition. They have put the soul in a straitjacket and have begun to be permanent evils inside it. To put it briefly, this sickness is an unrelenting distortion of judgment. So things that are only mildly desirable are vigorously sought after. Seneca, Moral Letters 75.11. In the financial disaster of the late 2000s, hundreds of smart, rational people lost trillions of dollars worth of wealth. How could such smart people have been so foolish? These people knew the system, knew how the markets were supposed to work, and had managed billions, if not trillions of dollars. And yet, almost to a person, they were wrong. And wrong to the tune of global market havoc. It's not hard to look at that situation and understand that greed was some part of the problem. Greed was what led people to create complex markets that no one understood in the hope of making a quick buck. Greed caused the other people to make trades on strange pools of debt. Greed prevented anyone from calling out this situation for what it was, a house of cards just waiting for the slightest breeze to knock it all down. It doesn't do you much good to criticize those folks after the fact. It's better to look at how greed and vices might be having a similar effect in your own life. What lapses in judgment might your vices be causing you? What sickness might you have? And how can your rational mind step in to regulate them? Well, if that doesn't call to the idea that I'm not drinking alcohol, I don't know what does. It's pretty incredible that, even something like a little misstep like that, one night of drinking, one night of drugging, and you can really derail all of the progress that you've made and undermine your own self, which is something that I tend to do a lot. So again, not having any money has really been a blessing in disguise in that way, because I don't have any money to buy alcohol, and I really don't have any money to buy weed, but I'm still buying weed. So, but I also broke the bowl on my bong the other day. I thought that was so interesting. I was thinking to myself, I should stop buying weed. And then I broke the bowl on my bong. So now I'm using a pipe, and the weed lasts a lot longer and I'm smoking a lot less. So super interesting how the universe sort of will give you what you want. And in that way, what I want is to have lots of money. But in the process of getting to have lots of money, if I don't have any, and then because I don't have any, I don't buy alcohol, and then because I don't have alcohol, I get to having lots of money, it seems like it makes sense. It seems like that's the order that it's supposed to go in. And so just trying to take it in stride and manage my day to day. And on this particular day, right now, Sunday the 23rd, I'm doing pretty well, you guys. I'm emotionally and physically and mentally pretty happy. Things are not easy. Things are still just as hard as they were a week ago. but I feel like I'm getting better at managing the situation and that I'm making progress in spite of it being an uphill trudge. And, that's how you get to the top of the mountain is you just do it one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. And you don't look all the way at the peak and think how far you go. You look at the next step in front of you and think, I can do that. I can take that step. So from that point of view, I'm going to go ahead and send you out in the world with the hope that you have the courage to take that next step in your life and to not relent to any of the difficulty and any of the hard times that you might be facing, because all that difficulty and all that hardship is what you need to gain the experience for something that's coming later that's going to be a lot harder than what you're dealing with right now. And you need the preparation, you need the practice, you need the real world life experience that you're getting from going through the hard time, just like I am, for the next thing. And then you're going to be ready for it. I keep feeling like I'm getting lucky. This last week, I keep feeling like I'm just getting lucky. I'm getting lucky. And then something occurred to me this morning. I was like, you know what? It's not luck. You're doing the hard work. Like, you really are doing the hard work. And luck is where hard work meets opportunity. And I'm doing the hard work, and on a rare occasion, I'm getting opportunity. And I'm taking advantage of it. And that's why it feels lucky, because I'm actually exploiting the opportunity. I'm maximizing it. I'm really getting all the juice out of that squeeze. And it's yielding results. It's yielding improvement. And as I slowly improve with the idea of eventually getting to a place where I'm making $30,000 a month, it starts by making $100 a month. So I'm working on that. And as I go and the opportunities continue to come, it's starting to feel less like luck and more like hard work meeting opportunity. So I share that with you with the idea that if you're going through a hard time, just like I am, and if things are not particularly the way that you want them to be, that's okay. And that is exactly where you're supposed to be, because you are getting the tough skin and the battle scars along with the experience, so that when you get to the next battle, you know how to win. You know how to strategically position yourself so that you can fight the fight and have the resources, the strength, the energy, and the emotional reserves to weather the storm and make it through. And that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm sharing with you. And so on this day, Sunday, March 23rd, 2025, I wish you the courage, the fortitude, and the strength to fight the battles that you got to fight, and to gain the experience, wisdom, and knowledge so that any of the future battles are easier for you to win, and that you can make the improvements and the changes necessary to your life, whether that's stopping drinking alcohol, going to the gym, getting 100 days skiing on the mountain, networking with the people that you need to network with, whatever the opportunities you're trying to create for yourself in your life, that you're really able to focus on those and make them the driving force of the actions in your life. And so if you want a six-pack, cutting out alcohol is a great start, but it doesn't replace going to the gym. So you got to pick your battles, and I'm picking mine, and I'm winning mine, and I'm sharing with you the journey of what that looks like, because it sure isn't easy. So with the idea that it's not easy, and that it's simple but hard, simple but not easy. I recently wrote down, I was reading this book. This says, victory over yourself brings joy. So I have another one up on my wall right here. It says, avoidance causes suffering. So if avoidance causes suffering and victory over yourself brings joy, stop avoiding and overcome the little bitch inside of you that doesn't want to do the hard work, because overcoming yourself brings joy. With that, I'm your host, the richest man in Aspen, aka landing like a plane.